Dum ba-dum ba-dum bum. Dum ba-da-da-dum ba-dee-dee-dee-dee. Da-da-dum ba-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Oh, yeah, yeah. Dee-dee-dee. Dum ba-dee-da. Ba-dee-da-dee-da-dum-bum. Da-ya-dum-bum. Bum-ba-dum. Dee-dee-dum-ba-dum-bum. Dee-dee-dum-ba-dee-da. Hi-ya-ba-dee-dee-dee-dee. All right. Dee-da-da-da-da-ba-dee-da-dee-da. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Fine, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Welcome, Michael, in Germany. Clem is in Brisbane, Australia, where it's very late. And Diane is in Arizona. Good morning to you. John, North Carolina, welcome. Costa Rica, Carlos has joined us. Shalom. Andrea is in Phoenix. Julia is in Pennsylvania. Beautiful day for learning Tanya. Yes. Amazing. Thank you. Jackie is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shalom. Eddie is in Washington State. Good morning. Janina is in Romania, Bucharest. All right. Beautiful. Lindsay is in the UK. All right. Paula, Bakersfield, California. Welcome back. Tim is in Texas. Boker Tov. Valerie is in Arkansas. Welcome aboard. Mark, good morning. And another Mark. Mark K. and a Mark C. in Santa Rosa. Boker Tov. Daphne is in South Carolina with us this morning. And Rena, Boker Tov to you in Colorado. Simcha, it must be sunny in Florida, I would imagine. Boker Tov to Joseph, who says it's cool but beautiful outside in New Jersey. Anna is in New York, welcome. Davida and Liba are also in New York. Good morning. Peng is in the Philippines, welcome. Am I still on Facebook? Well, I hope. We're live right now. Lynn is in Long Island. Good morning. Who else? Anna's in Tokyo. Okay. All right. Boker Tov to Eugenia in Calgary. Leah is with us in Florida. Oopsie. No, you just stopped in. Okay. Worldwide journey. Okay, beautiful. A worldwide journey with Tanya. Okay, Clubhousers. We've got Batya and Vilma, Adam, Michael, Celeste, Alan, David, Tyron, Ari. We got on Instagram, we have Yenta Telebenta, we have Christopher, we have Bella, we have Mark, Alcoy in Peru. We have my dear daughter Leah. All right. Just around the corner in Atlanta. Yeah, I'm still on Facebook. Okay, folks. We begin the 6th essay in Kuntres Achrein. We're coming to the end of Tanya, which means another beginning, of course. This essay is speaking about King David. Some a backdrop we need, the context. The ark was taken by the Philistines, and he triumphantly regained it from them. And he placed it on a wagon. And in that moment, he forgot the law that says very clearly in the Torah that the Levites have to carry it on the shoulders. He forgot that law and put it onto the wagon. Our sages in the Talmud say David forgot. Why did he forget? Because it was a punishment. Forgetfulness is a punishment. You know, we're talking about King David, we're talking about great people. It's a punishment. Well, we'll get into that idea of what forgetfulness is. But it's a punishment. Why? What was he punished for? Because he referred to the Torah as a song. That the songs were, that the Torah, the statutes of the Torah, are songs for me in a place of terror. Psalm 119, verse 54. So this is what the Talmud says. David, Zmiris Karisalahu, you call them songs? Right, that's what the sages in the Talmud say. And again, as a result, because he called them songs, the Torah, we'll get into it, right? He's punished to forget. The Zohar says, we find the expression that praises the Torah and its songs, and as it refers it to the song of God. So what's the issue there? We see that, you know, it can be referred that way. So we need to understand what is the praise that the Zohar is speaking about. So we have like a contradiction. The Zohar says it's a praise to refer to the Torah as a song. What's the praise when it comes to that which is kosher, not kosher, valid, invalid, pure, impure, that we should call it a song, right? We find also a similar concept that it says in Psalm 92. It says, "Ma gadlu masecha Hashem moed amku machshavesecha." How great are your works, O God! Your thoughts are very deep. That's what what King David says in Psalms 92. So why does the verse make the deed precede the thought? In other words, usually you think and then you act. So why is the thought of God come after the act of God? When we first think, and then we act upon that thought. So we need to understand the order of the verse there. Okay? So, explains the Alter Rebbe. So a bunch of things we need to understand over here, which we will not get an explanation today. We're only starting this. We need to understand why is he punished for, and why is the punishment forgetfulness, and why forgetfulness of this particular law that the Ark of the Covenant has to be carried on shoulders and not put onto the wagon. And, you know, what's wrong with calling the Torah a song? We see the Zohar calls it that. It's a praise. Okay, so now getting into this verse over here. It's known that all of the worlds, the higher worlds and this low world, are completely dependent on the meticulous performance of a single mitzvah. For example, what does it mean it's dependent? So he gives the example. When you offer an offering on the altar, What happens when you do that? Or any mitzvah for that matter, but giving the offering on the altar as an example. Tefillin, or I'm giving that example. He's not using tefillin. Just giving something more, right? So, what happens when you do a mitzvah? What do? You create a union between the male and the female parts of the divine. And what does that union do? It brings life and sustenance to the spiritual world and to this physical world. Literally, not figuratively, right? Now, but that's only when you're meticulous about how the mitzvah was done. So, for example, and the example over here is when you're bringing an offering on the altar, and you receive the blood from the offering in a vessel in your left hand. The Kohen would receive it in his left hand. So we learned this in Rambam. It's invalid. It has to be received in the right hand. You have to hold the vessel in the right hand to receive the blood. In other words, if you do something incorrect, you're not meticulous in the observance of the mitzvah, you do not create the union above. Which means you don't bring a life force of God, a new life force of God, because every union creates life. As down here, a union between male and female, husband and wife, the way it's meant to be, creates life. Literally in a child, right? But even if there isn't a child born, the union itself is also creating spiritual life. From time to time, it's physical life, but spiritual life most definitely. Why? How can you do that? It's because it's a reflection of the divine. That when we do a mitzvah down here and we're meticulous in how we do it, and we create a union up there, that union brings new divine spirituality, new life. Otherwise, the world is just being rehashed with the old, light, shall we say. But the mitzvahs is really what brings true life. And where's that true life come from? The Ein Sof, the limitlessness of God. Oh, I'm sorry, it does bring the example of tefillin. Right? Similarly with tefillin, which tefillin is the revealed supernal intellect. It's on the head. Zer Ampin and Nukva, you're creating a union between the male and female parts of the divine that brings life to all the worlds. Again, spiritual worlds and this physical world. But if the tefillin are not between your eyes, or they're too low, or there's something wrong with the way it was written, the scripture in the tefillin, you do not create that union. Which means that divine light is not drawn down into this world. Now the same thing is that's positive commandments, but the same thing is when it comes to the prohibitions of the Torah. A single detail affects the entire world. Right? In other words, one detail that made this thing not kosher, and then it was eaten, that brings now into klipa the light of God, into the negative forces of this world, the light of God. So says the Alter Rebbe, and we need to ponder this. The great works of God in the multiplicity of worlds, and then how, literally, the entire world is nullified to a specific requirement of the Torah. Again, the specific requirement, whether it's a offering on the altar, and the Kohen brought the blood in a vessel and holding on the left hand. Now, you might think, well, what's the big deal? What are you getting so... Well, when you want to connect with somebody, you want to send them an email, and you don't write .com, but just com without the dot. You're just missing a dot. There's no connection. Same thing is over here. Every detail matters. Why is right hand versus left hand? Well, those are all things that, we study and we can learn, but that's not the point over here. The point that Alter Rebbe wants to bring to us, that the details of the requirement of every law, and every mitzvah rather, in the Torah, is the source of life. Right? Not source of klipa life, right? The source of real life, direct from God, not indirect in a negative manner, right? And therefore, fulfilling the actions properly brings that light of God, as dictated in the Torah, into the world. Now, that's pretty profound, supreme thought and divine wisdom, right? In other words, that one minor specification of the Torah will make a difference of whether there's going to be life brought into this world or not, whether there be spiritual sustenance given to this world or not, or the opposite. So, in other words, we should ponder God's great thought and a boundless end, how all the vitality of this world comes from the specification of everything in the law of Torah and the observance of it. And that vivifies this world as a result. So what we have over here is then see the world and how the world gets life, meaning the actions of God and how He brings life, and then you'll understand His great thoughts, His deep thoughts. What's the deep thought? That Torah, right, is the source of divine wisdom, the divine wisdom of God, the Torah, that profound thought that is the source of all life and sustenance in this world. So, therefore, by seeing the action of creation, we'll understand the deep thought of God. The action of creation is that God vivifies this world. But where's it coming from? The deep thought of God. What's the deep thought? The deep wisdom of Torah, of God's Torah. Now, this notion that we just spoke about, King David was delighted with. In the time when he would study, right, and he had anguish. As we know, King David had a lot of anguish in his life. But he would study Torah, and he would think about this and praise God for this. That Torah is the source of all vivifying force of this world. He would contemplate this, that the entire world is totally dependent on a specific detail of the law that brings a union through the actual, right, doing or fulfilling that mitzvah with the details. You create the union above and bring down light, life, sustenance. That was a delight for him in a time of anguish when he would study Torah. For this he got punished. Why? Sounds amazing and beautiful. Stay tuned tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll get some answers. Actually, the whole story. Powerful, as we'll see in tomorrow's class. Any questions? Any comments? Hold on, Ari, 1 second. Let's just see here on Facebook, Instagram. No one's got questions. Halavai that everybody should, so be it that everybody should recognize that Torah is the source of life. And yet, King David gets punished for that. How do we understand that? Again, you got to come back tomorrow. Cliffhanger, yes. John, If we sin, we can do tshuva. If we do a mitzvah incorrectly, then repeat the mitzvah correctly. We then elevate the initial mitzvah we did incorrectly. Correct. Yes. Good. Thank you, John. Yes. Ari.
So.
Yeah, thank God. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good, man. I just haven't slept in like 48 hours. I really need to sleep, but I'll be alright.
All right.
But do you know where? Because I want to eventually read the Zohar. Not now. I'm not ready. Where I can get like a cheap Zohar that's not at the Zohar Center in New York.
Actually, I don't. Sorry.
You don't? Is that the only source?
No. There's many sources.
You can get them in Israel, right?
You can get them in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me look into it and see if I can find. Okay?
Yo, no, I gotta go, but
okay.
But follow me and ping me to all of your rooms because I wanna like tshuva. That's it. I'll see
Okay.
you soon.
All right. God bless.
Baruch Hashem.
Be well. God bless. Bella has a question. So, if one observed the Torah, so if no one observed the Torah anymore, the world wouldn't exist. You're right. It wouldn't. But that's not possible because God has promised that there will always be observant Jews keeping Torah and mitzvahs. So that will always happen. It never happened in the history of the world, or since Torah was given at Sinai, that there weren't Jews who were observant. Now sometimes there were, more Jews observant, sometimes less. But actually the Talmud tells us something interesting, that every Jew is full of mitzvahs, just as a pomegranate is full of seeds. So, yeah, everybody's observant. Everybody's observant. Some more, some less. But the important point over here is in the observance of the mitzvah, being meticulous in how you do it. That's what creates the union above that brings new divine light and spirituality and life force into creation. Right? And when we're talking about life to be brought into creation, meaning direct from God as opposed to indirect through the manner of klipa sitra from the other side, from a negative source. Right? Yeah, so there, yes, there's no TRC today, and Simcha's class will not be, the women's class will not be tonight. Okay. Any other questions? Bella, thank you for that. So there's always been and will always be. Oh, my son Mendel has joined. Beautiful. Alan, please share with us.
Okay, Rabbi. So I see where it says Asher Badiktu Kal Olim Kol HaOlamos Umekablim Chayusam V'Shipam Olahefech Hasvasam.
Right.
So, if there's a minor thing, a minor specification that you weren't even aware of, right?
Right.
But nonetheless, it was there. So let's say if you're reading from a Sefer Torah, and there's a letter that's incorrect, but you don't even know that it's incorrect,
Right.
You don't even know, right? But nonetheless, because what I'm reading from this is that it's really important, every single minor chumrah.
I don't know, chumrah are a detail that creates the effect of doing the mitzvah. So if it's a the chumrah could be a stringency, could be a detail of the law, or it could be an addition to the law. So that word chumrah, you have to be careful with. You have to be careful with the word chumrah.
Okay, I understand. I stand corrected. But what about if it's something that you didn't know? You know?
Excellent question. Alan is asking a great question. Let me just repeat it for everybody's benefit, just in case you didn't hear. So Alan is asking, you did a mitzvah, and for example, the tefillin, you didn't know that they are supposed to be between your eyes, not on your forehead, but like till your original hairline, right? And you didn't know that, and you had them crooked, often people they put on their yarmulke is in between the strap and the head, so also invalidates. You don't create the union above. So like, hey, what's going on over here? So first of all, the reason why we ask that question is very simple. Where we're coming from at least is that, hey, I had good intentions. So even though I had good intentions, even though my actions were not appropriate, even though I wasn't aware, but I had good intentions, so why shouldn't it be good? So we have to make a distinction here between how God will view you, so to speak, on a personal level versus how that mitzvah, what it accomplished. So good intentions don't accomplish anything if you don't do the appropriate action. In human life, we see that. You can have the greatest intentions, but if the act was not the appropriate act in business, like you didn't put .com, I had good intentions to connect to this person. I only meant well. So I missed the dot. I said com. I put everything else was correct. Yeah, but the connection's not made. So we see in the material world that even a small little thing will not create a connection. So the same thing is to connect above, to create that. So it's not about that you will get punished as a result of that. It's not that you're now going to be punished because you didn't have your tefillin on correctly. That's not what it means. What it means is that you did not create the union above to bring new life into this world, bring divine life into this world. You didn't accomplish that. Well, again, in business, you could have great intentions, but maybe your intentions are great, but the actions you did not were not the appropriate actions that were needed to make the wealth that was necessary for the business, right? So that's where we have to make a distinction and to appreciate that. So there's one other point that I wanted to make about that. 1 second, as my stream of consciousness took me elsewhere. So it's not about blaming or not about faulting. It's about, did you accomplish this thing or not? And when you don't follow the dictates the way they're meant to be, then this is what happens. Okay, I know another example that I'd like to bring out this idea. And thank you, Alan, for the question, because it's a very valid and important one. If you meant to drink orange juice this morning, and God forbid, you weren't aware, but it was some kind of lethal thing was in that juice, and you weren't aware, and because of that you got sick, right? Yeah, but I didn't know that it was bad. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you knew or didn't know. The effect is the effect. The action is the action. You, without knowing, you drank something that was, was bad, or let's say milk. It was bad milk. It went sour, and now you're sick. You didn't mean to. You didn't know. So not knowing doesn't make a difference. If it's poison, it's going to affect you. If it's bad, spoiled, it's going to affect you. So, are you to blame? It's not a question of blame. It's a question of a reality.
But Rabbi Fine,
go ahead.
Let's go with the example of a Sefer Torah that has an os that is really problematic. It has a letter that isn't written properly. It's a real problem, and if a child should be asked, they would probably say that it was invalid.
Right.
Right. So this is a clear example. And you're and you're in shul and you're using this Sefer Torah, and
Right.
and you're the Baal Koreh, and you're reading from this. It's just like you had no idea. This is out totally. It's not even orange juice that has poison in it. It's just like, how could you be held responsible for this?
Again, so you see, that's the problem where you're going, Alan. It's not how could you be held responsible. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is, did you accomplish or not accomplish? So if you read from a Sefer Torah that was invalid, so you didn't accomplish the union above, so what do you need to do? Take out another Torah and read from that Torah that is appropriate. Let's say if it's invalid and you can't use it for argument's sake, right? So it's not about how are you held responsible. That's not the issue over here. The issue is, did you accomplish or not accomplish? If you didn't accomplish what you need to accomplish, right, so then you've got to do it over. So, for example, if the tefillin are not in the right place, so I check people and make sure. So, for example, the tefillin, doesn't have to sit on you the whole time, but as long as at one point the tefillin was on correctly, so okay, so you accomplished the union that was necessary to accomplish. So I think that's how it's not. Now our responsibility is that we got to learn, we got to know, and try the best that we can. So it's not going to be. I don't think it's about the question of being held against us. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is, did we accomplish what we set out to accomplish or not? And that's how we should look at it.
I understand that. But still, nonetheless, it's not going to it's not going to get to the place where it needs to get to. But there was nothing you could do about it.
Right.
Let's say if the letter that was incorrect, it's not even in the parsha that's being read. It's in 2 parshas to come.
Right.
There's no way that you'd even know that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're right. So, by the way, that's a whole different issue. If you only, the halacha is, when you found it, from that point on, you can't read from it. Anything prior to that is okay. We're not assuming that it was, that the Sefer Torah, the Torah scroll, was already invalid, 2 years ago, or 6 months ago, or 6 days ago. From that point on, when you become aware, that's when it becomes invalid. Anything before that was okay. But in that example of a Torah scroll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Alan. Beautiful. Bella has asked, what about the action being perfect, but intention not good? So obviously, in the end, we want both the act and the intention to be as best as possible. If the intention isn't appropriate, so we dealt with that in letter number 4 or essay number 4, if you recall, when it came to Torah study, when it was a wrong inappropriate intention, and so on and so forth. So there is good question, and it depends on what the context is. Okay, beautiful, folks. Amazing, all of you. Alan, thank you for your questions, and Bella and everybody else. Amazing. So just a reminder that there will not be TRC today. There will not be my wife's women's class tonight. But there's Rambam now. All right, I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Judaism in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing day. Today is Yud Dalet Kislev, the 14th day of Kislev in 1928. A mere 94 years ago, our dear Rebbe got married to our dear Rebbetzin, Chaya Mushka. Today is the wedding. And this is the day that the Rebbe says, der Tag, that day. It's Ich bin verbunden mit euch and euch mit mir. That I am connected to you and you're connected to me. It all started with this day because he married the previous Rebbe's daughter. And that, of course, led to him ultimately becoming the Rebbe. So today is a very special day. day of Iskashrus, of connection to the Rebbe. A wonderful day. And how, you know how we express that expression, that Iskashrus? By learning Rambam particularly, because the Rambam is something that the Rebbe instituted that we should learn every day. All right, see you shortly. Thank you.